Welcome back to another episode of the Greater Culture Chat. So Chelsea and I catching up after a week away. So we both went in different directions for a week, and the gym survived, which is probably the best thing. But you went on a vacation. I would call it a vacation. But tell us about your week and where you got a chance to go.
Yeah, so we went to Ocean Isle Beach in North Carolina for a week, and it was great. We were on the water. I really did not do a lot of anything. I did not work out. I just went down to the beach. I got in the water. I sat in the sand, and it was a really nice time. Very relaxing and nice to just only have one thing to do, which was stare at the ocean.
Yeah.
It was great.
It's the ideal vacation.
Yeah,
right there. No agenda, no plans, any day, and just really shut it down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Really justifying cracking up in high noons, 10:30. Like, what else are you going to do? I'm not going anywhere. I'm not driving anywhere. Like, I wanted a good beverage, and I was like, well, it's 10:30. It's going to be 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
One of the benefits of living in North Carolina, beaches, not hard to get to, and then you get there pretty quickly and just chill and do absolutely nothing.
Very nice.
And so I went north and took in the CrossFit Games up in Madison, Wisconsin. So I'm fortunate enough to do that for the last couple of years. Family up there makes it easy to travel, see them, as well as then take in the event. So that's actually going to be our topic for today. Was we both had different experiences with the CrossFit Games. Got a chance to see it in person. You got a chance to watch it virtually and keep up with them. We're going to talk about what we liked, what maybe we didn't like, what we would give as in terms of rating, and just overall thoughts and perspectives. So we thought the best place to start would be just what's your overall rating of the experience. And so you got to take it in from afar and kind of keep tabs on your phone, which maybe goes into your rating a little bit of what that fan experience was like for someone who wasn't on the ground. So what did you rate the games?
So the games they started like Wednesday for age groups and everything like that.
Yeah, Tuesday,
okay.
Yeah.
And so we're at the beach. Okay. There's one TV that no one's watching except for my kids watching Bluey. So like, it's really not on TV. And then, the individuals and teams, they started Thursday, Friday. So a little bit was on TV, but it's really just kind of in the background. So I'm looking at I'm very much a casual viewer. I used to be someone who really got into it and set aside the time and watched it all. And that was a few years ago when I had a little bit more time to be in it. So very much a casual viewer. So a lot of my watching it is either passing by the TV or just checking Instagram. And so I did not think that CrossFit did as a whole did a great job updating their Instagram with the leaderboard. There's a lot of different outlets now. So you don't follow all of these people, you're not getting all the information. And, it's great that it's created this huge market for everybody to, be in the social media game and putting out all this information. But also as someone who's trying to consume it, it's a little overwhelming that it's everywhere. So yeah, my overall rating is a 6 on the whole thing, because once I was watching it, it was a little bit easier. But just trying to check in as to what's going on and not have to Google things and just pull up my Instagram, it was difficult to find the information at the leaderboard.
Yeah, and this year they went to a little bit of a new format with how they were broadcasting it. Big news, they were able to partner with ESPN, but with that came the challenge of, is it on YouTube? Is it on ESPN Plus? Will it a paywall? Is it on regular ESPN? And as much as they tried to share where things were, I've heard from a number of folks that it was hard to figure out where to watch certain events. And then even some of the heats may not have been on because they were on different platforms. So folks said if you were at home, it was a little bit confusing to try and figure out where to watch it and when to watch it.
Yeah, it would have been nice if the broadcasters were like, by the way, this feed is streaming on ESPN Plus the whole time.
Yeah.
But you can also watch on ESPN if you just want to see the last heat and the highlights.
Yeah.
Because I came to find out later that if you just switch to ESPN Plus, it was on the whole time.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. The same feed that was on YouTube.
Yeah.
But if you were watching it on ESPN or ESPN2, you were only getting the final heat.
Yeah. And then they said everything was going to get uploaded to YouTube 12 hours later. So it's great, but if I want to watch it in real time and not see the leaderboard and be what's going on, that would make it tough too. So I know some folks were I got to either figure out a way to buy a subscription or find somebody who's got ESPN Plus. I want to watch that. Then, different times a day for some of the events that did make the viewing experience a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, I did like that when the graphic was up, it was on Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to do any math there. So I did
That is nice, especially since the games were central.
Yeah, because I was like, oh man, what time is that? And I was like, oh, it says Eastern. We're good to go. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah. So a 6, not necessarily a high rating. So what other factors? So the big one was social media.
Yeah.
Keeping you up to date on scores, where to watch, things like that. Anything else, from that perspective?
For me, and this is just going to sound like so ridiculous. Everyone's just too fit now. And it's just when it was 5-6 years ago, and I'm less fit too, which also helps, but they're hitting weights and they're doing workouts where I can relate a little bit more to what they're doing. 95 pounds on the bar, lifted this many times. Cool. I understand that. I've done it. But now it's everything's just so heavy and they're running so fast and they're doing these incredible feats, which is just wild. It's pulled away a little bit of the, oh, wow, that's really something I could do or that's somewhat attainable. So I could relate to it a little bit more. And now that I can't, it's just I'm watching this. That's nice. It's hard for me to be really into it.
Yeah. There's one of those conversations I have with a couple of people that it seems there's less and less events that are happening at the games that you could in some way, shape, or form replicate at your home gym just to get a sense of how fit they are, which is really cool for the athletes to get to experience that. And at the same time, it's interesting that the training that it seems like would do well for them in the open, quarters, and semis isn't necessarily going to help them do well at the games because there's implements they've never touched before, different things that they've never seen or interacted with. So they're learning on the fly, which is also impressive. But it kind of speaks to what you said of it's tough to be what does that really feel like to move a sandbag like that or run in that way or to do some of these different new movements that we've never seen before.
Yeah, and they're all just absolutely crushing it. No one is falling apart anymore. Not even Noah Olsen. They even talked about it on the broadcast. They were like, oh, it's not, of course, because he likes to burn out very quickly. But even he was fine. And it's just there's no, drama.
Yeah.
And the drama that is there, Roman hurting his foot, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see someone get hurt.
Yeah.
You do want to see them flame out in a workout because they went out too hard. That's always fun to watch.
Yeah. There was a number of injuries this year that we saw. Because all of a sudden, the new event would come out, and you just see some names like WD. And you're like, oh, man, that's tough. Maybe you saw them or where they tweaked it or where they got a little banged up, and you hope they can push through. But there was a number of withdrawals and injuries, which you hate to see as well. But, yeah, kind of like you said, it's tough to keep up with what's going on in the event, who's injured, who's not, where to watch it, all of that. So I can see why from fan experience at home, 6 might be hey, it was good.
Yeah.
But it's challenging, especially when it's a 4-day event for just individuals and teams, not even including age groups and adaptives. But it's there's a lot of commitment for 12 workouts over 4 days to try and keep up with it. And it's all happening from Eastern time, 10 a.m. until 7 to 8 p.m. So it's a long grind to try if you want to stay up with it live. There's a big commitment.
And I understand why you take 40 people, and that's really cool to give them all a shot. But by day 2, it doesn't matter anymore. You're just watching the top 10. There's no one that's going to make some huge jump up and you can only see someone plummet to the bottom.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks too because you're looking for a little excitement, and then it's just not. If there had been an F1 race this past weekend, I probably wouldn't have watched any of it, if I'm being honest. Just because I would have caught the highlights.
Yeah. I
would have checked in, oh, that's really cool. Maybe seen some videos, but I would have prioritized watching the F1 race.
Well, and to be honest, some of the events are so fast. Some of them have a 6 or 7 minute time cap, and if you only care about the last heat of 10 people, it's I can watch a 4 to 5 minute workout when it's convenient for me and catch up with it. Versus these professional sporting events, which are usually hour and a half, 3 hours of sitting down, committed, and I'm in it for that. So 6.
Yeah. What about yourself? How do you feel about it as a games enthusiast?
Yeah, as a games enthusiast. So as someone who's had a chance to watch it up there, I gave it from fan experience on the grounds 9.2. So very, very high.
Would that be higher than your past experiences or kind of the same?
I would say last year's would have been slightly higher only because of some of the events they did that were so unique, and I don't think they can replicate them, taking the athletes into the town of Madison, different things. That was so cool to see them do that. This one was much more contained, which I understand with ESPN broadcasting and programming. But when you're on the grounds, like if you're a CrossFit enthusiast, there's the whole side of it, which is just watching teams and athletes, which is super fun to see these people who you either see on social media or enjoy following or root for. But then like there's this whole other side, which is for most folks, I would say is even bigger, which is like just interacting with the community and to see what CrossFit as an organization does for the affiliates and having basically a workout every hour on the hour for the entire weekend that's coach led. So you can like go work out, meet different brands, interact with different fans, interact with some of the folks that you see and like and appreciate on social media. Then you also get to take in the events. And so someone who's like a big enthusiast of the sport, your day is pretty much filled up with just watching people. It's like we said, they start heats at 9 a.m. and they will run until 7 p.m. So if you want to watch individuals and teams, like that's your whole day. Like just going from one event venue to the next and sitting down, watching, okay, now we got to go over here. Now we got to go over here. So if you appreciate the sport, you can just take it in and do that for the whole weekend. If you like interacting with other members, learning, different seminars, Q&As, you can go do all that stuff. So there's so much that you can do. And this year, in terms of the events and the spectator experience, I thought they were really cool events. It always felt like you could see who was progressing, where they were, who was in the lead. And I think it also helped that this year, new champions. So there's some new blood. There's a little bit of excitement around that, around who's going to take the top of the podium for women. And then once Justin kind of fell off, it was like, well, we know we're going to get a new male champ as well. So all that added to just like this really exciting feel. And then they also announced, like a week or two before the games that this was the last year in Madison, which really bummed me out. But I think there was a lot of like excitement and also like, let's like totally soak this in. Madison's been good for CrossFit before we leave and go find somewhere else to do it. So you kind of had that feeling too. So I rated it really high. It's such a cool experience. If you like CrossFit for just the workouts in the garage, or if you like it for the sport aspect, you would find something that you'd love up there for anyone.
Yeah. Is it overwhelming when you're there, like, to do all the stuff? Is there a lot of information being passed out so you know what's going on? So I would feel like I'm missing something the whole time.
Yeah, that goes into some of the things that I would say are my, like, would want to improve or get better. And I don't know how they do it, but there is so much, and they have multiple apps that you can use.
Multiple apps. Oh my God.
Like, yeah. So there's like the games app, which is like, hey, here's the heats, here's the leaderboard, here's the scores. So you can keep up with the sports side there. Then they have the on-site spectator app, which is like, here's your schedule of all the events going on. Here's who's at Vendor Village. Here's like all the deals and things like that. And then when you want to work out, you have to go and reserve a spot because there's so many people there. They don't want to overwhelm the workout spaces. So then you got to figure out, like, okay, go on Sugar One and reserve my spot for this 12:30 class. Yeah. So there's like so many different things that you can go on and look at, and you can try and build your own schedule, but it is really hard, and you do feel like you're missing out on stuff. Like there's, Q&As with the CEO of CrossFit or a community 5K, and you're like, well, if I go do that, then I'm not going to watch this individual or team event. So you're kind of like weighing in, like, would I rather go do that and listen or take part in this community event, or do I want to watch the athletes work out?
Yeah.
And so there is always like a sense of like, man, I feel like I'm missing out on something. But I think it's good to have so many options to do. It just gets tough when it's like you want to do more.
Yeah.
So when you think about like what your favorite parts are or the things that stood out to you the most, even though you gave it 6, there's still some highlights there. So what are the things that you'd like to see more of or that you really liked about it?
I really like that it was back on ESPN, even though it made the coverage a little bit difficult to figure out and watch and all that kind of stuff. I think it's good to have it on like a public streaming, whatever. Like even if you were just clicking through your like TV, you would see it. Or if you're at a restaurant and it's on in the background, like how many times have you been like at a restaurant, you look at the TV, it's some random, it's bowling, and you're like suddenly enthralled by it. You're like, maybe I should go bowling. So I think it is helpful to have that on and really get it out there, even though these people are ridiculously fit. The people that are watching it at a restaurant or just passing by don't really know that. They are seeing these weights and these things, and they think it's attainable, which is great. I don't want to crush anybody's dreams, but they're seeing it like, yeah, I can do that. And it seems very like, he looks like a regular guy until he takes his shirt off, or like, she looks like a regular girl. Like I could do what they're doing, and I think that's helpful because it really does direct people to kind of what is CrossFit, what's near me. Oh, the people that I'm looking up around me that are in these gyms near me, they look like me. I could do what they're doing. I could have this looks like a great. So even though the coverage was all over the place, I think it is good overall.
Yeah, and I thought I heard someone say that a couple of times that it was on ESPN, it was leading into whether an episode of SportsCenter or some UFC
It's like
fights.
baseball games.
Yeah, so it was like in a good spot too, where you would get a fair amount of viewers. And I saw a couple of memes, things tossed around on social media that's like people said that I was sitting in the bar, some people were watching. We try, maybe I should get back into the gym and get into shape or something like that. So like, that's stuff you wouldn't have seen or experienced if they weren't seen sports. Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah. So one of the things that's really cool is for affiliate owners, they help take care of folks. Like, so they've got this affiliate lounge, which is an area to get coffee, and they have different areas and seminars and snacks and things like that and drinks. So it's really cool to go there, and then you actually get to interact with other affiliate owners, just kind of chat how things going down. Everybody's so supportive in the community. It's awesome. And then the workouts they have they basically create a makeshift affiliate with everything you could possibly imagine or want, and then they have their sort of level seminar staff coaches leading these classes. So you get to get into a class experience, get coached by somebody, meet some other folks. And what's wild is the open class, which is, hey, where are you from? And every class that we did, 25 to 40% of people were from like a totally different traveling from Australia or Europe or South America or this or that. And you're just like, I can't believe like you came to Madison, Wisconsin from around the world, for this event. So those are the things to me that is super cool. I mean, to see like that many fans who all passionate and care about the same things you do. Like, hey, we got this thing called CrossFit, and we like to watch folks work out and do it competitively, but like we all know what it's like to go to a class in a gym, and we all are ripping like our own affiliates from wherever. So there's like this huge swell of just like community pride and people excited about being there and doing CrossFit. So if you're like a CrossFit enthusiast, that's why I say like the most motivating thing to go. There's other people outside of the people in my box who do this thing. It's cool to see how big it is. Yeah, there's a lot of people. So that's something to me that I always love and appreciate. And then I also really like the events this year. There's only 2 events that had barbells in it. I think that's a win. It was fun to see the athletes get challenged in different ways. Sandbags and some new implements or new ways of trying out and testing different things. And Robo does such a cool job of bringing new different implements in. So it's always fun to see what the athletes kind of figure out on the fly. Like, okay, you're super fit, and how good are you? And you have to learn a new movement on the spot. So I think that's kind of cool to see how they can take all the fitness they do in the gym and apply it in a way that's like, you can pretty much throw anything at and they'll figure it out pretty quickly, which is cool. So those are some of my big wins. Yeah. So out of 6, I imagine there's a few things then that are not on your want to continue list, or let's change and make them a little different. What do you got for the things that you do a little bit different?
It all kind of comes, I mean, I've kind of already said it a little bit with the coverage and the social media. So, back when I was really watching the games, it was all just put out through CrossFit. Everything, even though it was on ESPN, everything was through CrossFit. The social media, the YouTube videos, things like that. No, not doing it anymore. And it disbanded, which is great because we created a market and these people make a living doing it. Awesome. But like I said, it's just there's too much coverage. There's too much going on. You don't want to miss anything. And so then you're like clicking everywhere, spending too much time scrolling, trying to find information. And I'm just like, this is a lot. And I have no solution for it. Because it's just going to continue.
It is.
But it is kind of like, I need to like set up like some sort of funnel. So I know exactly where to go ahead of time to get what I'm looking for and not feel frustrated kind of doing that all the
time. I even noticed that, as a fan up there, because there's so many entities and outlets now. Like, you come off of watching the event, you're kind of fired up, and like, I'd love to see like some post-game interviews or press conferences and things like that. And no one has that specific way of talking about the day. But like Talking Elite Fitness was like in a hotel lobby doing like a live sort of recap of the day, and then Buttery Bros would put out like a quick little video, and then you've got other folks who are building content, like Greg Ritchie's there and Savon's there, and you're like, okay, like I want to see what they're all creating, and how do they get back behind the scenes, and like what are the athletes saying? But there wasn't like a central spot unless you like go look and be like, ooh, they uploaded a YouTube video, like I'm gonna go check it out. It would be cool if there was a more centralized, like, hey, here's our end of the day recap, and we're broadcasting the press conference with some of the best athletes from the day and things like that. So it would be cooler, I think, from a fan experience to see some of that. Yeah. It's like after professional sporting events, they have press conferences or talk to the athletes, or Sports Center's covering it. So you're like, oh, keep up with what's going on. I think that would be really cool.
It'd be nice to, they always talk to the winner afterwards. Why don't we talk to the loser?
Yeah.
Let's talk to the person who got second. Because every other sporting event, they're talking crap.
Yeah.
The announcers are, the interviews aren't going well. You've got, the basketball player who's just like only saying yes, no answers into the microphone. Like, I love CrossFit and positivity. I think it's fantastic to work more positive vibes. But you get a little crap talking, little poke in the bear.
Yeah.
Let's hear the other side of it. Let's hear someone be like, well, my judge did something wrong.
Yeah.
I want a little discourse.
It would be really fun to see that, because you can see sometimes it's happening on the floor. You can see when an athlete gets frustrated, or they're getting no reps, or they're looking to the left and the right. It's not going the way they want. You're like, I want to hear from them. Though. What's going on? Like, you're not performing as well as we thought, anticipated. Are you injured? Is something going on? Like, are you just not performing today? Like, it would be cool to hear that, because then everybody would expect it. They're like, oh, they're just not going to do it. This person got cut. How did they get cut so early? And you're like, no, it'd be cool to hear from you. What's going on there?
I think because CrossFit is so personal. Yeah. It's such a small community. Well, kind of. Like, everyone knows everybody. Everyone's up in each other's bodies because of all the social media. And like, it's your body. Yeah. It's not a piece of equipment. It's not a car that you're driving. It's not that. It's like, it's your body that you've been working on. And I think it's so personal that people don't talk about it. Yeah. Because we know that feeling. Yeah. So no one's going to be like, well, if this person hadn't, got in my way doing this or that. There was a little bit of that came out. A little bit. But it was nothing. I don't think there's much separation between personal life and people that compete in CrossFit. Yeah. Where like football players will talk crap about the other team and then go have dinner with that person. Totally fine. Because they're friends outside of football. Yeah. But I think in CrossFit, because it's so personal, it's a lifestyle, it's a whole thing. There's no separation. Like, if I talk crap about you, probably we wouldn't be able to just like go have coffee after, even though I'm just talking about it. Yeah.
I 100% agree. And it's interesting because as you say that, it has me thinking about how, for CrossFit athletes, this is like the one big Super Bowl like event a year. For all these other sports, there's other events. It's like, not a great race day, not a great day for me. But next week, 2 weeks from now, I get to do it again. And this is just like such a heightened thing. It's like, this is what you build for. It's like a one event all year that you really are working hard for. So I think there's just so much riding on the line for the athletes as well. Like, it's not one shot to do well. It doesn't go the way you want. A, you're not going to want to talk to the media about it. And then B, like, you're probably not going to talk trash to your fellow. Because I think we hear that all the time in CrossFit. It's like, there's such nice people. They're so good. They're the nicest person you ever met in the world. And I think that is true for most people.
I do think so. I don't think that there's a lot of ill intent. I do agree with that. Because people that have ill intent make it that far anyways. But I would like to just, and it's tough too, because it's not like you're battling someone for a piece of equipment.
Right.
Like, you're not going head to head.
Yeah.
You're in your own lane, you're doing your own thing. So it's not really that big of a deal, but maybe let's hear some drama in the warm-up area. Like, they held me in the pens too long. Yeah. My judge miscounted. Like, I guess no one really wants to talk bad about CrossFit. That was the issue.
Yes.
Because when you start making those comments, then you're going against CrossFit. It's like, well,
Well, I heard a couple athletes mention that and heard it and saw it on some other platforms. Even like the third place finisher, Ariel Lowen, there was an event where she did 30 double unders each time. And she was like, my judge miscounted by at least 5 reps every time. She was doing 35.
Yeah.
every time. She's like, you can't stop and argue because it's going to take too long. But she's like, I did more reps than I was supposed to every single round. And they went back and watched it. She was right.
Yeah.
And they adjusted their score and it bumped her up. But I think that happens maybe more than we think it does. It's just like in the moment, you can complain and yell at your job if you see that.
Yeah.
And it usually doesn't help. You just do what you're told, and then, But it was interesting that she kept her composure. You see other athletes, even on the team side, wow, they just fall apart. They just start getting really upset at each other, at the judge, and you can tell how the performance just tanks.
It's always when the worm is involved. That worm comes out and everyone just loses their mind.
They had a new worm in the final team event this year that they didn't even let them practice with in the back.
Well, if they were around in like the worm first came out in 2012, 2013.
It was very similar to that one.
The log one.
The log one.
That took off some years. Yeah.
And this one, like, there was moments where one athlete would either drop it or miscommunication and the whole team fall down.
Yeah. Because it just
pulled them down. Yeah. And I was like, that doesn't look so fun. But
I'd love to see a team like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yelling at each other. So it sounds like for you, the thing that you love to maybe improve is not only just the coverage, but a little extra in there, get some extra coverage.
Yeah, give me some drama.
I know.
Give me a Drive to Survive.
Yeah, that's right.
What's the other one? The golf one. He's like swinging or something.
Yeah, I just finished it up.
Tennis one, point. Little hard knocks action. Like, give me some of that.
That was the stuff that athletes love, so the community loved as well. Road to the games and being able to maximize people love. Let's see the training. Let's see what it's like getting there. And then, so I think those are stories that hopefully they'll continue to tell.
So, all that being said,
so I've got two. One was like fan experience, and one would be like on competition floor. So for the affiliate owners, they did a lot of cool events this year. One of them was they took all the affiliate owners onto the North Park field, the big turf field, and they did like a huge workout. It was really cool to like just be on the field with them, and it was just a bodyweight workout, and they had the logs out there set up, so you had to jump over the logs. But it was pretty cool to like see this many other owners out there all just having fun. They had a mixer and stuff like that after. So from a fan perspective, that was really cool to be able to take part in that. And then from the perspective of on the floor, there's a lot of really cool moments like Jack Farlow lifting in the same weight. It was like probably one of the loudest roars for the weekend. Roman battling through. People really, really got behind him with that. But for me, I'm a big Laura Horvath fan, so seeing her battle for the win, because I think unanimously people were picking her to win this weekend. Yeah. And it started off good, had like a little struggle in the middle, and she was down. And then the way that she ended Saturday and took it into Sunday was just like win, win, win. And it was put herself in a position to see her do really well on Sunday and get the crown. That was pretty cool to see how excited she was. And I mean, it's just fit people. They made the comment that in the top 10, most of the women are like 25. Laura's like 25, 26, but most of them are 23 and under. So I'm like, that's insane that they're that young and already top 10 picture. Yeah. Like, they're going to be there for a while if they want.
Interesting to see how it plays out.
It sounded like she's interested. We'll see about Matt and Haley as well. We're both super young. Yeah. It's like sport's only getting younger, which is interesting and cool to see. How about you? What was your favorite moment?
So I loved, as much as it sucked to see Roman kind of fall down the charts and everything, seeing Adler win was really cool. He's a super humble guy, and like hearing that he was volunteering in 2016 and then insane. Yeah. But that moment when they were interviewing him, he said, they were like, what was the question they asked where they were like, how does it feel? And he immediately turned to his coach, fiance, and was like, well, it's all because of her. Yeah. Like immediately. And she just burst into tears. You could tell that they work on this, like this is their life. Yeah. And she coaches him. He gave her all the credit. Like she found me. She said I could do this, and he did it. Yeah. That was really cool to see him like just completely. He did all that hard work out there, but for him to give her so much credit was really awesome. And she's just even top.
Yeah, there was a number of very emotional moments over the weekend. That was one of them. It's like there was not a dry eye in the stands during that interview, Roman, some other interviews where it's like it was very interesting because it actually most of those interviews that got super emotional were on the guy's side.
Yeah.
And not that you wouldn't see that as often, but the on-floor announcer or whatever who was asking him interview questions, he was like having a hard time staying, straight face because you have these athletes who are breaking down. You want to break down, so you're like so connected to them. Which was really good to see, and super excited for Jeff and Carolyn. That's just a really cool thing.
Yeah.
What's also unique about that, so on the men's side, Jeff won at Bellman 2, both had women as their head coaches.
Yeah.
Because Pat's coach over at Second Comp also well.
So,
yeah. They're very cool. And they said that was really cool for the space as well. Because it tends to be a little bit of a male-dominated space in terms of coaching that level to just see and have that conversation.
Side note, really love that they all came from small garage outfits. Like they're not in the big camps. And they talked about that, I think Taylor talked about how the camps kind of underperform. Which like I don't like to see people underperform. I don't like that. But it is nice to see the homegrown athletes that are just, getting it done and grinding and not getting the flashy stuff. Being it. That is it.
Yeah. Yeah. And to see that it's a body of work. Like it took years for Adler, and even Beller's been in it for 9 years.
I mean, Roman too.
Yeah. Laura's been in it a long time. Because you see some of these young folks who are breaking onto the scene, even they've been doing it for a long time. They've been starting when they're 11, 12, 13 years old. So now they're 19, 20, 21. They've been in it for 8 years already.
Yeah, there's another one guy that won. He's like top 10.
Yeah. Which is wild. So it's really cool to see that transition. And speaking of that, we had a chance to watch some of the age group division early on in the week. I can't believe how fit people are late in the life. Like the 50 to 55 division was doing what I would consider most folks would say is RX, like arm muscle ups, dumbbell snatches, things like that. And they are looking like they're in their 20s. So it's really cool to see that even as you progress and get later into life, like fitness is still accessible to you and you can do way more. So, whether you're somebody that I just want to start moving more consistently, or you're like, I want to excel and thrive, it's possible. And it's cool to see that people are able to do that late into life.
It would have been cool if they had shown that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like show like the winning heat, the last heat, like the men's like age group for the men's final.
Yeah.
To kind of bring a little bit more awareness to that. And their age group would feel the same way about that. A little bit more
I think that's going to be a topical discussion for most of this upcoming year was to miss on age group and adaptive coverage. They've moved them to earlier in the week to try and give them an opportunity to be the star of the show rather than like have them with individuals and teams. But the coverage wasn't there, and they're trying to figure out because it's incredibly expensive to broadcast that. So figuring out what's the value and return on it because the Masters population is a huge population in the CrossFit community. Yeah. But they also don't have the same viewership. So it's kind of tough.
And there's so many people. It's like it would be a scheduling nightmare to try and do everybody on the same day.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it used to be. You were like, well, age groups and adaptive over here, and individuals over here. Which one do you want to go to? Make it hard on fans in the past. So we'll see. I think overall, great step in the right direction. Getting it back on ESPN, huge win for CrossFit. I think the folks who were successful champions this year, great for the sport. So it seems like things are trending and progressing the right way. The CEO's been in his role for a year now. He seems excited and motivated. I think the community seems excited and motivated. So I think it's a pretty good time to be in the CrossFit space or be connected to that community.
Yeah, I agree. It's always a good time to be in CrossFit. Everyone has like the games are so complicated. Like, oh, should we put this much weight into them? Like, we should really go through really stuff like that. At the end of the day, it's fun to watch the sport of it all, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's similar to other sports, things like tennis or golf or even like basketball. It's like you can watch the professionals do it. That's awesome. They're incredible. But I can still go out and play around golf on Saturday knowing I'm not going to be a professional, but just enjoy it for the sake of doing it. And I think when people have that perspective, and if they want to scratch the itch with going to some local competitions or doing the open, like, great. I mean, the competition's good for everybody. But it doesn't have to be, this is the reason we do the sport. It's only, or do CrossFit only to try and go compete. So, well, I'm glad you had a great vacation. The games was fun. We're back at it now. And we're looking forward to continue some of these conversations around different topics. So we've got some mapped out, but we're always open to what folks want to hear us chat about. So thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Greater Ultra Chats. For Chelsea, I'm Brad, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.